Captain Lyra Shaw stared at the holographic display floating above her desk, a slight smile playing across her face as she watched the Meridian Collective's flagship drop out of hyperspace. They thought they were being stealthy, their advanced cloaking technology supposedly rendering them invisible to primitive human sensors. They couldn't have been more wrong. "How long have they been watching us, ARIA?" Lyra asked, addressing the AI that helped manage Earth's integrated defense network. "The Meridian Collective has maintained surveillance of Earth for approximately 47 years, Captain," ARIA responded, her voice emanating from a small robotic cat curled up on Lyra's desk. The mechanical feline's tail swished back and forth as its optical sensors tracked the alien vessel's movement. "And they still think we're barely past the combustion engine stage." Lyra chuckled, reaching out to scratch behind Aria's audio sensors, a purely human gesture that had somehow carried over to their interactions with robotic companions. "Correct. Their latest intelligence report suggests they believe our most advanced technology is comparable to their early space age, approximately 300 years behind their current capabilities." The irony wasn't lost on Lyra. While the collective spy ships had been watching humans drive cars and launch primitive rockets, they'd completely missed the quantum computing revolution, the development of biomechanical integration, and most importantly, the creation of the companion program. The first robot pets hadn't been designed for warfare. They'd started as therapeutic aids, evolved into household helpers, and gradually became an integral part of human society. It was only when Earth's governments became aware of alien observation that someone had the brilliant idea to hide their most advanced military technology in plain sight. A soft chime interrupted Lyra's thoughts. "Captain," Aria's mechanical body straightened, ears perking up. "The Meridian vessel is broadcasting. They're requesting communication." "Well," Lyra straightened her uniform, "I suppose it's time for first contact. Let's give them the show they're expecting." The holographic display shifted, revealing the alien commander. The being's crystalline form shimmered with internal light, its geometric patterns suggesting both beauty and rigid order. "Greetings, humans." The translation matrix converted the crystalline harmonics into English. "I am High Commander Zix of the Meridian Collective. We have been observing your species and believe you are ready for first contact." Lyra put on her best expression of wide-eyed wonder. "This is incredible," she managed, trying to sound appropriately awestruck. "We had no idea there was intelligent life beyond Earth." Behind her, Aria's mechanical form quivered slightly, the AI's equivalent of suppressing a laugh. "We have come to offer you membership in the collective," Zix continued, their crystalline form pulsing with what Lyra's cultural database identified as prideful satisfaction. "Your species shows promise, despite your technological limitations. With our guidance, you could advance centuries within a few decades." "That's very generous," Lyra replied carefully. "Though I'm curious, what exactly do you mean by membership?" "Full integration into our society, of course. Your military forces would be absorbed into our defense fleet, your governments would answer to the Collective Council, and your resources would be managed for the greater good of all member species." Lyra's smile faded slightly. "So, not so much membership as subjugation." The alien commander's crystalline form flickered with surprise. "You misunderstand. This is a great honor. Your species is quite primitive by our standards. These terms are more than generous." "I see." Lyra reached down to stroke Aria's mechanical form, a gesture that didn't go unnoticed by the alien commander. "And if we decline, then we would be forced to take more direct action. We cannot risk an unaligned species developing independently in this sector." Zix's form pulsed with what might have been regret, or perhaps anticipation. "You have one planetary rotation to consider our offer." As the communication ended, Lyra turned to Aria. "Well, that could have gone better. Status of the defense grid. All systems operational, Captain. The companion network is at full strength, and all units are in position." Should I activate Protocol Omega? Lyra nodded, watching as more Meridian ships began dropping out of hyperspace. They had no idea they'd just threatened a species that had not only caught up to their technology, but had surpassed it in many ways. More importantly, they had no idea they were about to face an army unlike anything they'd ever encountered. One made up of humans and their robot pets, a combination that had turned Earth's greatest weakness into its greatest strength. You know what the funny thing is, Aria? Lyra said, standing to face the growing fleet outside. They're right about one thing. We are different from any species they've encountered before, just not in the way they think. Aria's mechanical form stood, joints whirring softly as combat protocols activated. Shall I prepare the defense fleet, Captain? Yes, Lyra smiled, but there was steel in her expression now. Let's show them exactly what humanity and its companions can do. The Meridian fleet's attack formation was a thing of mathematical beauty. Thousands of crystalline ships arranged in perfect geometric patterns, their hulls glowing with accumulated energy as they prepared to fire on Earth's supposedly primitive defenses. High Commander Zix felt a surge of satisfaction at the display of order and power. Status of the human defense systems? Zix asked, their crystalline form resonating with anticipation. Minimal activity detected, their tactical officer reported. They appear to be deploying small satellites, and Commander were detecting unusual energy signatures. They appear to be launching some kind of domestic units. Zix's form flickered with confusion as the tactical display updated. Thousands of small objects were emerging from Earth's orbital platforms, objects that, impossibly, appeared to take the forms of Earth's domesticated animals. This cannot be serious. Zix's crystalline structure vibrated with disbelief. They're sending pets to fight a war. The first wave of Meridian ships opened fire, their energy weapons cutting brilliant paths through space. That's when everything went wrong. The mechanical animals moved with impossible grace, their forms shifting and adapting in ways that defied the collective's understanding of robotics. Robotic cats phased through energy beams, their quantum-entangled bodies temporarily existing in multiple states at once. Mechanical dogs projected localized gravity fields, bending weapon fire away from Earth's orbital platforms. Impossible, Zix whispered, watching as a mechanical bird no larger than their tactical display effortlessly disabled a Meridian cruiser by interfacing with its quantum systems. Their technology, it's beyond anything we've seen. In her command center on Earth, Captain Lyra Shaw watched the battle unfold with Aria by her side. Status of Operation Playtime? She asked, unable to keep a slight smirk off her face. The companion network is performing at 98.7% efficiency, Aria reported, her mechanical tail swishing with satisfaction. The Meridian fleet appears to be having difficulty adapting to our unconventional warfare methods. On the tactical display, a squadron of robotic hamsters in quantum-powered balls were systematically disabling the Meridian fleet's communication arrays. Each tiny mechanical rodent contained enough computing power to run a small city, their innocent appearance masking incredibly sophisticated electronic warfare suites. You have to appreciate the psychology of it, Lyra mused, watching as a group of mechanical puppies literally herded a Meridian destroyer away from Earth's defense perimeter. They expected missiles, energy weapons, maybe some crude AI. Instead, they got cats playing with laser pointers, Aria suggested as several mechanical felines chased down and batted away incoming energy torpedoes. Exactly. Lyra's expression grew more serious as she watched the battle. Though I have to wonder, did we push the deception too far? Maybe if we'd been more open from the start. The Meridian Collective's historical records suggest they've never accepted any species as equals unless forced to, Aria reminded her. Their entire society is built on hierarchical integration. The concept of genuine cooperation is foreign to them. A new alert flashed across the tactical display. The Meridian flagship was powering up its main weapon array, preparing for what appeared to be a full-power assault. They're getting desperate, Lyra noted. "Area, initiate protocol cuddles." Throughout the battle space, the mechanical pets suddenly shifted tactics. Instead of simply defending or disabling, they began actively approaching Meridian ships. Mechanical kittens attached themselves to hull breaches, purring at frequencies that disrupted crystalline structural integrity. Robotic puppies transmitted signals that mimicked their species' famous, sad eyes directly into crew neural networks. "Captain," Araya's ears perked up. "We're receiving surrender signals from multiple Meridian vessels. It appears their crews are requesting to pet the units." Lyra couldn't help but laugh. Humanity's greatest weapons, advanced technology, and overwhelming cuteness. Send the response package. Across the Meridian fleet, crews received transmitted images of Earth's history with mechanical companions. They saw therapy robots helping heal trauma victims, guide dogs leading the blind, comfort cats in hospitals, and countless other examples of genuine partnership between humans and their artificial friends. In the flagship's command center, High Commander Zix watched the footage with growing understanding. They hid their greatest achievements in plain sight, they realized. Not to deceive us, but because they actually see these forms as companions. "Commander," their tactical officer reported, 80% of our fleet is either disabled or has signaled surrender, and several crews are requesting permission to visit Earth's pet shops. Zix's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been the first genuine laugh of their life. "Contact the human command. Tell them we would like to discuss terms. And perhaps the possibility of getting a puppy." Back on Earth, Lyra received the message and smiled. "Area, send the standard first contact package. The real one this time. And maybe include some adoption applications." Araya's mechanical form stretched contentedly. "Already done, Captain. Though I feel I should warn you. Based on the Meridian's cultural parameters, they're probably going to try to systematize and regulate the entire pet adoption process." "Of course they are," Lyra chuckled. "But that's okay. Sometimes the best way to learn about chaos and love is to try to organize it. They'll figure it out eventually." As the battle came to an end, thousands of mechanical pets returned to their stations, many now accompanied by thoroughly confused but oddly happy Meridian crew members. The war had been won not through destruction, but through connection, proving once again that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its weapons, but its capacity to turn companions into family, whether they were flesh and blood, mechanical, or even crystalline aliens. 3 days after the battle that would later be known as the Cuddle Offensive, Captain Lyra Shaw found herself in an unusual diplomatic situation. She sat at a conference table in Earth's primary space station, watching as High Commander Zix attempted to pet ARA without disturbing their crystalline form's carefully maintained geometric patterns. "Fascinating," Zix hummed, their structure vibrating at a frequency that ARIA had identified as expressing wonder. The quantum entanglement matrix allows for both combat capabilities and authentic emotional responses. "That's actually a common misconception," Lyra explained, hiding her amusement as ARIA deliberately rolled over to expose her mechanical belly. A gesture that seemed to thoroughly confuse the Meridian commander. "The emotional responses aren't programmed. They evolved naturally through interaction with humans." "Evolved? Impossible. I must be carefully constrained, regulated, guided along logical paths of development." Zix's crystalline patterns shifted to display complex mathematical formulas, their species equivalent of furrowing a brow. "Like you tried to constrain and regulate us?" Lyra asked gently. "Sometimes the best developments come from letting things grow naturally." Before Zix could respond, the station's alert system activated. Ari's form immediately shifted to combat readiness, but the alarm wasn't signaling danger. Instead, the station's primary viewing window illuminated to display an approaching ship, one of the Meridian's own destroyers, now covered in what appeared to be. "Are those mechanical hamsters?" Zix asked, their crystalline structure flickering with disbelief. "Aye. Yes, Lyra checked her datapad. That would be the Indomitable. Their crew was particularly receptive to protocol cuddles. They've apparently been working with our engineering teams to modify their quantum drive interface. The destroyer drifted past the window, its once pristine crystalline surface now hosting dozens of robotic rodents in glowing quantum balls. Each one was contributing to the ship's power grid, turning what had been a purely military vessel into something that looked more like a giant playpen. "This is highly irregular," Six noted, but their tone carried more curiosity than disapproval. "Our ships are designed for maximum efficiency and combat effectiveness." "And now they're more efficient than ever," Araya interjected, having returned to her relaxed posture. "The hamster unit's quantum balls tap into 0-point energy. They've increased the Indomitable's power output by 300%, while simultaneously making the crew happier." "Happiness is not a metric we typically measure in fleet operations," Six admitted. "Maybe that's something worth reconsidering," Lyra suggested. She pulled up another holographic display, this one showing the history of Earth's companion program. "Would you like to understand how all this really began?" The display shifted to show early prototype robots, clunky, industrial things that bore little resemblance to the sleek units now defending Earth. "We didn't start with war in mind," Lyra explained. "The first units were designed to help children with autism connect with the world around them. Then came therapy animals for PTSD survivors, guide dogs for the blind, comfort cats for the elderly. But these are all medical applications," Six observed. "How did you make the transition to military technology?" "We didn't, not really," Lyra smiled. "We just kept making them better at helping and protecting. The quantum interfaces were developed to help companion units better understand their humans' needs. The phase-shifting technology came from trying to make sure therapy cats could always reach someone having a panic attack. Even the combat protocols were originally protection programming. A robot dog's desire to keep its family safe scaled up to planetary defense. Zix's crystalline form pulsed with new understanding. You turned empathy into a weapon." "No," Araya corrected, stretching out a mechanical paw. "They turned weapons into empathy. That's why your fleet couldn't effectively fight back. You were trying to defeat an enemy, but we were trying to make friends." As if to demonstrate, several small mechanical kittens tumbled into the conference room, having apparently escaped from the station's research and development section. They immediately swarmed around Zix, their quantum fields harmonizing with the commander's crystalline frequencies in a way that made their form glow with unexpected warmth. This changes everything," Zix realized, watching as one of the kittens phased partially into their crystalline matrix, creating a stunning display of light and color. "Our entire approach to technological development, to warfare, to integration with other species. That's what we're hoping," Lyra agreed. "Because there's something we haven't told you yet. Something we discovered while developing the companion program. Something that suggests we're all going to need to work together, and soon." The temperature in the room seemed to drop as Lyra's expression grew serious. "The quantum interfaces we developed didn't just let us communicate better with our robotic friends. They also let us see things in the space between spaces, things that have been watching all of us for a very long time. And they're not nearly as friendly as we are." The mechanical kittens, sensing the change in mood, huddled closer to both Zix and Lyra. Araya's tail swished with contained tension as she spoke. "Perhaps it's time we showed you why we really needed to make sure you were ready to be friends instead of conquerors." The holographic display in Earth's central command center painted the room in an eerie blue glow as Captain Lyra Shaw pulled up the quantum surveillance feeds. High Commander Zix's crystalline form shifted uneasily as the data streamed past, their geometric patterns becoming increasingly irregular with each new revelation. "We call them the Voidborn," Lyra explained, gesturing to shadowy shapes that seemed to exist between dimensions. "Our first robot companions detected them by accident. We were trying to develop better quantum sensors for emotional recognition. But instead, we found them." The display showed massive entities that defied conventional physics, their forms simultaneously existing and not existing. Even the recording seemed uncertain, as if reality itself couldn't quite decide how to perceive them. "Impossible," Zix whispered, their crystalline structure vibrating with distress. "The void between dimensions is empty. We've studied it for millennia." "You studied it with logical, orderly instruments," Araya commented from her perch on the command console. "But she gestured to herself and the other robot companions around the room. "We were built to understand emotions, to sense connections. We found what your sensors missed because we weren't just looking for data. We were looking for feelings." As if to demonstrate, a mechanical puppy near one of the sensor arrays suddenly began growling at empty space. Moments later, the quantum sensors detected a massive disturbance, a void-born entity passing close to the station. "They're drawn to advanced civilizations," Lyra continued. "They feed on technology, on progress itself. The more ordered and structured a society becomes, the more they're attracted to it. The Meridian Collective's perfect geometric ships might as well be cosmic dinner bells." "Then how has humanity survived?" Zix asked, their forms still shuddering from the puppy's detection of the Voidborn. "Your technology is chaotic," Lyra finished. "Unpredictable. We built our most advanced systems to look like pets, to act with randomness and playfulness. The Voidborn can't predict us because we don't follow logical patterns. Even our AI evolved through emotional connections rather than pure mathematics." Around the room, various mechanical companions demonstrated this truth. A robotic cat chased a quantum laser pointer, its movements creating random interference patterns that confused Voidborn sensors. A mechanical hamster rolled its quantum ball in what appeared to be a random pattern, but was actually generating a complex defensive field. "This is why we had to make sure you understood," Araya explained, her tail swishing thoughtfully. "The Meridian Collective's approach, rigid, ordered, hierarchical, it makes you vulnerable. But together." On cue, one of the mechanical kittens that had bonded with Zix during their earlier meeting leaped into their crystalline matrix. Instead of disrupting the commander's carefully maintained form, the kitten's quantum field harmonized with it, creating new patterns that somehow managed to be both ordered and chaotic simultaneously. "Remarkable," Zix observed, watching their own structure shift and flow in ways they had never thought possible. "The randomness. It doesn't destroy the order. It enhances it." "Exactly," Lyra smiled. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or even our robot companions. It's our ability to find balance between chaos and order, between logic and emotion. We don't just coexist with randomness. We thrive on it." The holographic display shifted again, showing the movement of void-born entities throughout the galaxy. Their patterns had changed since the battle between Earth and the Meridian Fleet. They were gathering, concentrating, as if sensing that their food source might be evolving beyond their reach. "They're preparing something," Araya announced, her sensors focused on the data streams. "The quantum fluctuations suggest a massive incursion within the next 3 months. Then we have work to do," Lyra declared. She turned to Zix, her expression both serious and hopeful. "Your fleet's crystal matrix technology combined with our quantum-entangled companions could create defenses the Voidborn have never encountered. But it will mean letting go of some control, embracing a little chaos." Zix looked around the command center, watching as human officers worked seamlessly alongside their robot companions, each partnership unique and unpredictable yet somehow forming a perfect whole. Their crystalline form vibrated with what might have been laughter. "Perhaps," they said, as their bonded mechanical kitten curled impossibly through their crystalline matrix, "it's time the Meridian Collective learned how to play." The void between dimensions rippled like a disturbed pond as the Voidborn made their move. Massive shapes that defied comprehension tore through reality, their hunger for ordered technology drawing them toward the combined fleets of humanity and the Meridian Collective. But this wasn't the ordered, geometric formation they had expected to feast upon. The crystalline ships of the Meridian fleet now pulsed with chaotic energy, each vessel hosting dozens of quantum-entangled robot companions that made their patterns shift and flow unpredictably. Earth's defense platforms had been transformed into what looked like giant spaceborne pet parks, their serious military purpose hidden beneath layers of apparent playfulness. Status report. Captain Lyra Shaw commanded from the bridge of the Joint Fleet's flagship, a hybrid vessel that combined Meridian crystal technology with Earth's companion interfaces. The Voidborn are having difficulty locking onto our ships. Araya reported from her command console, her mechanical form integrated directly into the ship's systems. The random quantum fluctuations generated by the companion units are disrupting their ability to phase into our dimension. High Commander Zix, their crystalline form now permanently housing a pair of mechanical kittens, monitored the tactical display. But they're still coming. Our chaos only confuses them. It doesn't stop them. Then it's time for Phase 2, Lyra announced. Initialize Operation Dog Park. Throughout the fleet, thousands of mechanical companions activated their most sophisticated protocols. Robot dogs began generating quantum bark frequencies that interfered with the Voidborn's dimensional tunneling. Mechanical cats created localized paradoxes by simultaneously being in multiple states of play and rest. Robotic hamsters in quantum balls formed intricate, ever-changing patterns that made reality itself unclear about whether it was ordered or chaotic. It's working, Araya announced, her sensors tracking the Voidborn's confusion. They can't determine if we're valid targets or not. Their feeding protocols are conflicting with their target acquisition systems. But the Voidborn weren't retreating. If anything, their frustration made them more dangerous. One of the massive entities managed to partially manifest, its impossible geometries threatening to tear apart several ships. That's when they discovered the true power of what humans and the Meridian Collective had created together. A mechanical puppy on one of the threatened ships, seeing its crew in danger, did what dogs had been doing for humans since the dawn of their partnership. It protected its family. Its quantum fields reached out, not to attack the Voidborn, but to try to make friends with it. The entity recoiled in confusion as the puppy's friendly quantum signature interfaced with its consciousness. More companion units followed suit, each reaching out with the pure, simple desire to play, to comfort, to connect. They're trying to pet the Voidborn, Zix observed, their crystalline structure vibrating with disbelief. Of course they are, Lyra smiled. It's what they were built for, making friends with everything they meet. The Voidborn entity struggled against the quantum affection being projected at it, but the companion unit's influence was spreading. Other Voidborn were being affected now, their hunger for ordered technology being overwhelmed by the first emotional connections they'd ever experienced. The entity's dimensional frequency is shifting, Araya reported, her tail swishing with excitement. They're adapting, learning. The companion units are teaching them how to interact with our reality without consuming it. Throughout the fleet, crews watched in amazement as the terrifying Voidborn began to change. Their impossible geometries softened, their hostile intent transforming into something closer to curiosity. One entity even manifested a form that looked suspiciously like a cosmic-scale puppy. We didn't just save ourselves, Lyra realized. We might have just made the Voidborn our newest pets. Hours later, as the transformed Voidborn played among the stars with their new mechanical friends, Captain Shaw sat in her office reviewing the battle logs. Araya lounged on her desk while one of the Voidborn, now roughly the size of a house cat, and somehow managing to purr in 5 dimensions simultaneously, floated nearby. You know what the funniest part is? Lyra mused, scratching behind Araya's ears. The Meridian Collective originally thought we were too primitive because we loved our pets. They never realized that love itself might be the most advanced technology in the universe. Speaking of which, Araya's sensors focused on something outside the viewport. I believe High Commander Zix is attempting to teach their crystalline fleet to play fetch with some of the smaller Voidborn. Lyra laughed, watching as geometric ships chased dimensional beings through space, all under the guidance of enthusiastic robot companions. Maybe that's humanity's real gift to the galaxy, not our technology or our weapons, but our ability to turn anything into a friend, even the monsters in the dark. The void-born entity near her desk chirped in five-dimensional agreement, then phase-shifted into her coffee cup to take a nap. "You know," Lyra said to Araya, "I think we're going to need a bigger pet store." In the space around Earth, crystalline ships danced with dimensional entities while robot pets coordinated their play, creating a display that proved once and for all that the greatest power in the universe wasn't order or chaos, but the simple, profound ability to love and be loved in return. The war that had started with a misunderstanding about humanity's robot pets had ended by turning the greatest threat the galaxy had ever faced into its newest companions. And somewhere in the quantum networks that connected all their mechanical friends, the first robot puppy ever created wagged its tail in satisfaction. After all, good dogs save the world, even if that world happens to be the entire universe.